everybody. Today with us we have Gauri Das. She is HR Head of India Factoring. Gauri, welcome on board.
Thank you so much, Smita, and thank you so much for curating this platform. I'm sure it's going to be inspiring for many, and it's going to be a learning for me as well.
I've been following you on LinkedIn quite a bit, and I'm so impressed by what you write, the topics that you curate. One interesting topic is about resilience. What do you think? What does resilience mean to you?
Resilience is something that I have lived through. I think, especially as a woman, we have to even more have it. So let me start with my story. Let me take you to my childhood. A number of trees, loads of space, जहाँ पर हम गुल्ली डंडा खेलते थे, and it had mountains also behind our house. So शाम को हम ट्रैकिंग के लिए जाते थे. I mean, it was a bliss. But on the other side, as we always know that something good will have a cost. The biggest challenge here was there was no English medium school. Rather, English for me started from standard 6. So शुरू में तो कुछ पता नहीं चला because things were okay. I was doing good academically. But later on, when I went for my engineering, this was second ranking institute in Madhya Pradesh. After that, I got married and I had to start my career from Guwahati, Assam. First, it happened with the communication skills, and I had to really work very hard to be at par with others. So resilience came in. Second time here, I had to keep myself motivated because we were there for quite some time. And after that, we moved to Gujarat, Ahmedabad. Again, not a very good place for anybody to build up their career. So this whole time, I had to literally push myself and think positive and always bounce back, because when we moved from Assam to Gujarat, I had to take a break. Then again, after 2 years, it was time for arrival of my bundle of joy and maternity break. So third time when I had to come back, it was really very difficult. We were a nuclear family in Mumbai. Mumbai, a very large city. For me, it was first time that I was in a large city like this. Then a nuclear family, so I had to take care of my daughter, had to take care of my home, and I had this thinking in me that I need to be a superwoman, always achieving everything. And on top of it, employers were not very receptive, especially during those days. D&I was not agenda for many organizations. Now we have this comeback programs, and your organization has really done exceedingly well in this case. I would say, I mean, employing women who are coming back. So I had to always explain it to employers, my prospective employers, who will take care of your daughter when you are away. Because in Mumbai, you will spend a lot of time traveling as well. So many employer would not come back, I'm sure, because of this reason. But just finally, I got someone who had this faith in me, and I got a wonderful opportunity to set up HR department from scratch, and also their office. So it was learning in multiple towns. And since then, I have not looked back. But if you see at each and every stage of life, it is resilience that has sustained me, that has allowed me to progress forward.
Such an impressive story, and yes, resilience is important, so that only ascertains or emphasizes on the fact that everybody goes through your ups and downs. We now see Gauri Das as the HR head, but the backstory is quite compelling, saying that it's not easy to get there where you got, and we all go through those struggles. Important to bounce back, right? So this is awesome, Gauri. Gauri, during the entire piece of your journey, how do you think your mental health was, and any piece of advice for women around about trying to manage their mental health?
I have faced it myself, and that's why I have a piece of advice for all women. So like I said some time ago, that I had this feeling that I need to be superwoman. I was in a job which was 6 days a week working, and seventh day would go only in household chores and helping my daughter. No time for self, and even no thought for self also. And that's why you would see I write a lot about self compassion, because I have learned from my mistakes, I have paid for them. At the age of 30, 31, I had started having this back pain, and it went on for quite some time. I have recovered from it, but it was a good lesson for me that you have to take care of your body as well. So physical, many a times we take care of, especially these days the focus is very high on physical, but when it comes to mental health, we don't take care of it, and we would just think that we have to do everything. This is why we are born, and these are the responsibilities we have to take care. So my advice would be, number one, seek help. Because I made this mistake, I would not seek help from my husband or family that I need help. Please come here, because we were in a nuclear family. I could have requested them that they need to be here if I have to go back to work. But I used to think that how can I disturb others or disturb their lives. And on front of my husband, I used to always think he should look at things and he should support me. But that's a wrong notion. You have to seek help, and you have to just think that it's a family and everybody should support. And now that COVID happened and there was a lot of work because we did not have our support house help, that time I sought help, and it was like distribution of work. So my daughter would do dishes, my husband would work on cleaning the floor, and I would cook. That's how we decided to divide it, and it was amazing. It worked very smoothly, and I got a lot of time also. And this helps in mental well-being as well, because you get time for yourself. And that's how, Smita, you would see more posts during that period because I got time for myself and I could come out with my own learnings. So this is most important thing, that you have to seek help. Number two, you are not a superwoman. No perfection is required. Good should be good enough. Because if you go for perfection, you will be only spoiling things and you will not be gaining anything out of it. So second thing is that now that I have accepted, it's okay to get a lower rating. It's okay if my daughter is not first in all the competitions. It is even okay if she's not participating everywhere. So these are two things which I would really advise people, especially women, because we have a different set of challenges.
Thank you so much. They are so important inputs because we always want to be. I have known of many people. I'm not somebody who considers myself superwoman, but I've known a lot of people who consider themselves as superwoman. They don't want to seek help. They don't want to. According to them, seeking help is a sign of weakness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is how I used to think. You brought it very beautifully.
Yeah, so that is one thing that we need to work on. Say, no, it is not a sign of weakness.
Yeah,
In fact, vulnerability is something that is being
absolutely.
celebrated these days. And it's okay to say that, listen, I'm in trouble. I need help.
Yeah.
I
Thank
need,
you.
I need help. It's very, very important. So beautifully said. So, Gauri, just taking it a little beyond, do you think there are organizations which are working towards understanding the issues that women go through, which could be a little different? So, towards diversity and inclusion. And do you have any tips for these organizations to make women feel inclusive and part of the larger group? See, there's always a thing about equality and equity, right? And so, equality is like there shouldn't be a reservation in the bus. Whoever comes first gets a seat. What's a big deal about having a reservation? But vis-a-vis equity will be that there is a reservation. So, what is your thought about it?
We see both sides of it, and whatever happened. So we were, I think, first generation where women went out and they worked in so many numbers. Before that, our mother's generation, it was not so prevalent. But we must aim that next generation is fully into workforce. And how would it happen? You rightly said we have to do a lot of work in terms of diversity and inclusion. As they say, invitation to party is one thing, but dancing with people is something which is actually an inclusion, the sign of inclusion. So for me, the most important thing, because small things make a lot of difference. Say for example, if you are going for a party, most of the times it would be dinners. And as you would also understand, we can't be part of every dinner because we have to take care of kids at home. We have to take care of home also. So why don't you change it from dinner to lunch? At least say half the time. If you can't do it all the time, but at least half the time. Don't think that your productive time is going there, because productivity would be much higher when your women are happy. So this is, I mean, kind of a small example which one can definitely work on, and it will have a very large impact. Second, bring in more people in top management, because that's where the decision making is. And when you have all men in your boardroom, then all decisions are biased. I mean, there is no other thought process. There's a single dimensional thought process, and that doesn't help actually. And whatever product-based companies, and if they have something for consumer, right? Every organization has something and some customers. So if you have another gender as well, it would really help you to have that different thought process, different perspective, and you will definitely gain better results. And like we saw in COVID times, places or countries where women president or women prime ministers, they did very well, much better than other countries. So there's something in terms of administrative power or leadership capability which women are excellent at. So don't think that if we hire a woman, she will have to leave at 6 p.m. because women also understand today that they have to work for their careers. And more than the organization, I think it starts from home, because we as individuals create that organization. So if you are really supporting your women at home, you will be doing it at workplace also. So have that open mindedness, and it would come from the kind of upbringing that we are giving to our children. So if we tell our boys that you have to support mama in everything, and if we tell our girls that it's not only your responsibility and you are not born to only work for household matters, you have to be independent, you have to have your view. I think by doing these things, we will be actually creating a better place for our next generations and for ourselves.
That's so beautifully said, Gauri. Thank you very much. Now, that has brought me one question to my mind. See, generally, if you see women enter workforce, there is no issues in that. As soon as they finish their graduation, they enter workforce. But we see a lot of drop-offs somewhere in the middle and senior management. So, is there any idea, any suggestion you can give to organization to ensure that there is a retention, is a little higher? I mean, some work towards retention is required.
Yeah. I think you are yourself an example of it. What exactly should be done? So, and now COVID has opened up our mind as well that it is possible for people to work from home. So, if we allow, it's my own story that I had to drop out from workforce twice, and it was really a struggle to come back. So, if we can allow our women to be in workforce, operate from home, if we can change the roles wherever possible, if it is not fully possible to operate from home in a particular role, and support them. Say if there is a very young kid at home, you would not be able to operate in that 9 to 5. So if you can give that flexibility, because most of the times children, they will sleep at night, as we say. So if you can give them flexibility to operate any time in 24 hours, but measure them only on deliverables, it would be a great support. Because once they are out, it's really a tough challenge to bring them back. Once they are out, their responsibilities, then there are a kind of there's a resistance from within also, that how would I leave my child and go work at workplace, at office. So it's good to retain them when they are in workforce. It's good to work on this also, that whosoever is out, you bring them back. But why allow them to go out? Let them be there, and let's support them so that they don't have to go out.
I think these are some really important tips, Gauri. Any closing comments from you for women employees or CEOs or CHROs who are listening to this conversation to create a conducive or a great ecosystem for us?
I think I would say that this growth mindset is something which we have to break up when it comes to hiring, when it comes to nurturing talent. Because if we simply think short term, that a woman, many a times it happens that a woman who is not married would come for interview, and hiring manager will have a thought process that she will get married, then she will have kids. Now 6 months maternity leave, we will have to allow her to go. Let's not go by these short term thought processes. Let's have a long term vision for us, so that we are not only having diversity, but we are including them as well. Let's not give them only those kind of things which are not central. And the most important thing is, women are not token. They are really a living being, and they are really bringing value to the table. Let's recognize that.
All right. Thank you so much, Gauri. Thank you very much for attending us, for having this conversation today. Some very insightful conversation, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to gain from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Smita. It was pleasure interacting with you. All the best. Thank you.